If someone says there's way too much Canada, I respectfully disagree. You can never have too much Canada. David Boy is prior world champion as
Yeah,
well. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Three former Canadian world champions. I actually don't know how many American world champions there are. I guess there might be a few more because there are older ones like Joel Sherman, Brian
Brian
Capoletto, people
Capoletto.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. America's generated a few, but Canada as well. Lots of talent up there, eh? Joel Wapnick, yes, cannot forget about Joel Wapnick too. Thank you, chat.
yeah. So in the meantime, Robin is picking her first set of letters.
And we are underway here in round 10 of the Scrabble Players Championship from Baltimore, Maryland. Round 10 out of 31. 31 games of Scrabble spread across 5 days for y'all at home. Always such a cool event to watch. So Robin's going to open with ELMRTTU and Jackson with the far less balanced EGIORUY. Morris, what do you think for Robin on an opening play here? What would you do with this rack?
Yeah, so this is a question of if you go short or long. It's a stylistic preference. It looks like Robin's opting for Mutter. I would maybe go with Tum, TUM, and keep a bit more of a synergistic lead for fewer points, though. But I think either is justifiable.
Yes, yes. I again, we've seen this several times now. Kind of a clash of the old school and the new school. Or older school players would absolutely drop mutter without thinking, and newer school players would consider playing smaller, leaving fewer floaters for their opponents, and keeping more bingo-prone leaves early in a game. Either one, I think, is totally defensible. Robin going with mutter here, and she's not going to get burned by all of those floaters because Jackson did miss the memo about drawing good letters. I've tried to advise players multiple times to do that, but they can't hear me, I guess. Jackson's got a few options. He can dump YOU on top of Mutter. He's also got set up Guyot or Guyot. I have no idea how to say that word, but GUYOT down to that T is going to unload a lot of the ugly letters on his rack all at once.
Yeah. Personally, I would love him to play Goyim, especially with a Jew commentating and some Jews at the board. We can throw some love to the Goyim as well. So maybe he sees Yogi, which are the same letters as Goyim. But all of the plays we mentioned, I think, are all reasonable and within a point or two of each other in terms of value.
Goyim is no longer valid. It's been removed from
Oh
the
shoot!
lexicon, so
I forgot
we're
that was
not going to
valid.
see
I
that play.
apologize. I apologize. I forgot. Yeah, there were a few words that were expurgated in the past year. So yeah,
So it's got to
apologies.
be YOU is going to be devastating if that's what Jackson opts to do because Robin is sitting uncrawled right now and she would be able to hook it behind. So Jackson elects to play this instead, and that's going to work out nicely for him because I don't think Robin's going to be able to do much compared to what she could have done after YOU.
Yeah, yeah. So it accomplishes a lot in terms of getting rid of all the Dreck on your rack, scoring close to as many points as you could from that rack, and really not giving your opponent that many huge opportunities to score.
This will be an interesting turn for Robin. She's got some options. Chad is suggesting maybe WUD through the U, keep things small, keep things closed, and hold a very dynamic leave of AECLR. I think without an S, it's going to be tough to bingo on a board after a play like WUD. So maybe we elect to score more points here, but there's not a lot of scoring opportunities. That's what a play like GUYOT does.
Yeah, it's
Oh wow, she's gonna go with D Clar, I think, which I I'm pretty certain that's not a word. I wonder if Jackson knows as well. Robin's got to be on hold right now as Jackson thinks about this. Jackson almost never instantly challenges a word. He does what I think is very smart. He'll say hold and think about it. Think about his options. Think about what your play gives him back, even if he knows it's no good. And I would imagine Jackson is not compared to some of the other people near his rating bracket, he's not as on top of the words as some other players, so he might not be totally sure of this. Robin, it looks like, is taking her courtesy draw, which you're allowed
Okay.
to do after 15 seconds. You can draw new tiles, but that doesn't mean the play is accepted. I think that's what happened. What is happening here?
Yeah, this is an interesting move by Robin. I mean, it gives her a shot at least, which you know, but it seems like if we look at the end of the game and Jackson's winning by a lot because he blocked or he chose a play that didn't give back crawl. Uh, it feels like even after turn two that it's already a pivotal point in the game.
And this is a word that's very difficult to challenge as well because a lot of players study by seeing the racks alphabetized and they type in the words on a program called Aerolith. Shout out to Cesar for that amazing program. But this is one where if you do see that rack, my brain would right away be like, well, it's got to be either reclawed or declar, and reclawed is dumb, so it's going to be declar. But the way people study, they learn how to unshuffle these racks, but they don't get a good sense of distinguishing what is and isn't a word. So yeah, very tough word for Jackson to challenge. I haven't seen either player indicate in any way that the play has been accepted yet. So this, I think, is going to be a very long hold for Jackson. If I'm Jackson, I'm more inclined to challenge this just because I need to know the way this board is shaped. These S hooks on both Mutter and Declar are going to be huge going forwards in the game. I need that knowledge. I don't want to have to try to play an S on the end and then have Robin challenge it off. So that alone, I think, pushes me in favor of challenging this word. But Jackson certainly has a lot of thinking to do. And once again, I'll mention on stream, it is a lot harder to make any kind of decision just because you get in your own head.
Yeah, I will say from like a tell perspective, I feel like Robin took a bit long to play Declaw compared to like we saw Andy Hong yesterday play Algicide as a phony with a Y in it, and he played it so confidently right away. I feel like Jackson does try to process all information about not only do I think it's good, but how confident is my opponent and such. And that could matter here because if Declaw stays on the board, then declawers could come up at some point.
Exactly.
And it could really. So I think Jackson is trying to incorporate all information he's seen, not just from his own perspective from studying, but from how Robin is acting right now, how she acted before she made the play, and because even if he thinks I'm not confident enough to challenge, it will inform whether he's confident enough to stick an S on it later in the game.
I feel like Jackson would have challenged this play already if he were going to. I'm afraid we're going to see a play like FOH or something come down. I think he would have challenged already if he's going to. He could surprise me, but if I had to guess, Declar is going to stay on this board.
Yeah. So at least we don't know from the commentary booth whether it has been accepted yet. If there is knowledge at the playing floor, if it has been accepted, feel free to relay that to us so we can tell the viewers at home.
Yeah, we'll try to get someone with an inside knowledge of what's going on, but I'm pretty sure the play is still on hold. And Jackson typically holds plays until he's decided exactly how he's going to proceed. So he would accept, I think, right before he makes whatever play he elects to make.
Yeah, and so let's actually, in the meantime, think about what could Jackson be thinking about playing if he is considering letting it stay. Do you think it's just going to be FOH?
I think it's going to be OF or FOH.
Yeah, they both seem reasonable. Yeah, this. I mean, Jackson's also someone who really thinks a lot about like leverage and like how much a score differential matters and
I
how
think the
much
play was
board
just
scoring
accepted.
potential.
I think the
Yeah.
play was just accepted given that exchange. So Declar is going to stay on, and that S hook now Robin's already sitting on it is going to be very interesting to watch. That is a great play by Robin. You know, when you don't have a spot for your bingo, make one, make up a word if you need to. And I mean, Declar is very difficult to challenge as well. So gutsy play, and it's going to work out real nice for her. Jackson's going to come back with Fido just to shump this board wide open, creating two separate lines to triple words. And bingos are going to be accessible, I think, for the rest of this game. Unfortunately for Jackson, he's just allowed Robin to drop that X out of a rack with all consonants for a ton of points. So next or text is going to come down. I'd play next here, but she's electing for text. Maybe she's unsure whether next takes an S now. I believe that was added somewhat recently, whereas text she sure takes an S.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, there are also a lot more T's already played than N's, right? After Mutter, two have been already burned, and there have been no N's on the board. So I agree, Matt. Even though D, L, and S has a certain kind of synergy that the D and the T don't have together necessarily, uh, it feels like you want to play off an N instead of a T there, and we can see she would have had slanted indentals.
Oh, she can see that too. You could see from her face. She looked around like, "Oh man, look at this." But yeah, it's impossible to play this game over and over. Of like, oh, I coulda, woulda, shoulda had this, but I really think in that situation, next was a superior play because four T's are already exposed. But just because something is the right play according to a simulation or an equity perspective doesn't mean it's a right play for you. And if I'm Robin and I have any doubt about whether next takes an S or not, I would just play text. No reason to open up that volatility. No reason to open up a hook you don't know, especially when you're in the driver's seat of a game.
So Jackson got rid of two of the three ace on his rack. Or no, sorry, he only had two ace on his rack, but keeping EIR, very synergistic leave, and scored 26 points for Mawa. It seems like a very good play.
Yeah, this will be interesting for Robin, how aggressive she decides to be in terms of trying to pull a bingo next turn. Is she going to fish off just an N? Is she going to play off maybe two tiles? Do we see something like End come down next to Mawa, END? Or do we just see her blow up the whole thing and play, a 5 or 6 tile play?
Yeah, this will be interesting. I always look on these sorts of racks to see if you can do a land to eland setup or something, but I don't see that available right away.
Yeah, this is a tricky move, man. I don't know what I would do. It is very tough to decide, and also with a 70-point lead already, I'll say this over and over. You don't want to get caught fishing when you're up 70. The way to lose the game is to fish for very few points, miss your fish, and then watch your opponent catch up very quickly. So, yeah, this is a tough turn. Chat is suggesting null through the U and the L just for 8 points in ULO holding ADENS. You could do that. I would absolutely be trying to score more points here, though, if I can.
Yeah, there's also the very pretty double-double of Sunland in that same spot. Obviously, you don't want to burn the S, but that does score a lot of points. It scores 32.
It's definitely the correct thing to do if you see it, but that is so hard to spot a double-double through disconnected letters as you're so fixated on trying to draw a bingo here instead. This will be interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Robin has been pretty gutsy this game already. I feel like Declarer suggests, she's really willing to keep things open, but I would naturally gravitate, I think, towards land and locks a lot of the time too, just because that's such a high scoring bingo spot. It feels like, and I keep an S at least to have another lane there.
Yeah, the S is huge on this board. Text, mutters, declars. The Jackson's play of Fido did make a bunch of bingo lines to play sevens, but S's are still going to be very important in this game. And you're not very inclined to play one unless you can do something crazy like Sunland.
Yeah, so I feel like land and locks to me feels natural in a lot of ways too, even.
You could also consider something that like pluralizes GUIOT, something like Dan's through that A, just to score some points and keep things tight. But I don't want to play off the S unless there's a very compelling reason to. One other fun option is hands and declars. That's not going to come up on the sim, but it is going to tighten things up a lot on this board and make that hook go away too. If I'm Robin, I don't think she knew for sure that was not a word. And I would be very nervous about that hook for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so land does come down. And that will give Jackson a very nice Z play of Za off of Mawa. So that'll be 47 points, which will get Jackson much more within range of Robin. Oh, but he's actually opting to play off the Q first. That's really interesting.
I think
Uh,
he knows he's setting up a spot to play the Z for 50 points above his play of Equalize. He's drawing for Equalizer right now as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
and he retains the Z to hook. The Z is just so powerful on this point on this board. So many ways that Jackson can do something with it. Unfortunately, that was not the pull he needed to be able to do something with it. He'll have to settle for something like Prize or Zip.
Yeah, and Robin has all the good tiles, and she has Aniseed in multiple spots. I'm guessing she's going to go above. Yeah, she's doing that now. So she will take out the other triple spot that Jackson opened up, and she will take a commanding lead.
I just want to go back to that play of equal. That is something Jackson is so good at doing. I think many people would have instantly played Za in that situation. Jackson knew that he had the pulls for equalizer. That would be a really high scoring option, and I think very few people would be creative enough to find and make a play like that. It is a bummer that it didn't work out for Jackson in this case, but that is what makes him a 2100 rated Scrabble player and a threat to win this tournament every time he sits down.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, does he go even gutsier and play Rip above the E in equal, making PE as well, and maybe going for Equalizer next turn, giving a crazy high point lane because grip, drip, trip are all valid words. Uh, I'm that might be too gutsy, but he's down by a lot here.
It looks like he's set the letters PIRR on the side. Maybe he's looking for something like Sprier between
Yeah,
the S and the E, just to continue fishing for equalizer. Unfortunately for Jackson, equalizer is not an equalizer. While it scores well, it's not nearly enough to get him caught up. So, but maybe he sees there's a decent number of E's that he's still able to draw, and he might try to get it. Robin's pulled into Iceberg. I don't know if that's going to fit, but she's got a blank. She's got good stuff again, and Jackson trying to pull one more E now for equalizer.
yeah. I don't think Iceberg fits at all. She could play B Wig through the W and Mawa. Seems like a good way to get rid of the clunky W and G, at least, and B for that matter.
David Firstman, great one in the chat. But let us see if Iceberg plays. Good one, David.
Ah, nice. Or
Jackson
Niceberg, as the chat points out.
Jackson whiffs on the E again, and I mean sometimes it's easy to get fixated on what you're trying to set up. I'm not sure that Spryer was the right idea. I think in this point you've got to play Zip next to Mawa and hold, not the best leave, but just get the board more open, set up an S hook, and score some points now. Equalizer is not 90 points; it's only 54.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind he still would have had Za also. Right, he wasn't drawing just into an E, he was drawing into an E or an A because Za off of Mawa was a 47-point option. So I don't hate the idea of Spryer that turn, go for one of those two tiles one more turn. And right, if you're drawing four randomly from the bag, it is a pretty high chance he'll hit one of those at least. He had three R's there anyways. He needed to take at least two turns to clear a lot of stuff out. I was fine with the move of Spryer.
I just think you've got to score more points. But yeah, I mean Jackson is better than me for a reason too, and he's doing what he's trying to do or what he can do to get back in this game. Though it's likely almost everything at this point is going to be too little, too late. With Robin sitting on a blank, with it being her turn, and with her already up 130.
Yeah, although this does lead to the question: are there other extensions that could come down for equal? I could imagine like equality or something being a cool play later on in the game at some point.
Yeah, equaling. There are some options, but equalizer would be the big one, or equalize in some capacity.
Well, equilateral, or no, it's equilateral, not equilateral. I think.
Oh my goodness!
EQI.
Chat just found that Jackson has junior through the U in Mutter, and that's going to help him
Oh
retain
my
the Z still.
god.
Wow, that scores so well for him. Oh my goodness. We'll see what Robin does. Bewig would make that go away, but man, Robin's got a challenging turn. Nice find from the chat from Chalicled Onyx or Ch- Chelst Onyx. Yeah, wow, that is a devastating one.
Yeah, so I mean, to be fair, Robin is up by so much right now that often when I'm the most tired after a game, it's because I need to think a lot each turn. And when you're up by so much in some ways and you don't have a clear play, those are sometimes the most stressful times in a weird way because you feel like you need to find the best play, and you push yourself in a way that you didn't expect to when you were up 130. So I could imagine this being stressful in some ways for Robin at this point.
Yeah, you do not want to blow a game with the lead like this. Robin's going to play Berg. She's going to address that A in the top and just keep very bingo prone letters. CEI blank is very dynamic. And we'll see. Does Jackson find Junior? I think if he saw it, it would already have come down. So he's looking at John through the H in Mawa. Dang, that's a bummer. Junior would be such a great play for Jackson right now. I can't even count that high. It scores so many points.
Yeah, I think it scores 54.
Oh
So
my goodness.
I think he might have tunnel vision for equalizer. That's
Yes,
maybe
yes.
partially what's going on.
Yeah, it's so hard to not fall into that tunnel vision, but that's a great way to put it. Yeah. So Junior doesn't come down. That's a sad miss for Jackson, but it is very difficult to find that play too.
Yeah.
And
I mean, one thing that did also is so there are more O's than A's. So Zoo and Za could be an option now instead of Za both ways. But he did get both an O and an E, so we'll see if he goes with
oh,
Equalizer or Zoo next turn.
or there's also like Zawale pulls that he had. That makes that spot even more devastating to set up his Z. So Jackson just sitting on top of the Z, trying to crush it. Now he's finally pulled Equalizer. He's pulled Zoo. He's going to score 50, but it took him so many turns to get there. It's got to be frustrating for Jackson that you couldn't pick up what you were looking for. He does have Polarized through the A as well if it's left alone.
Yeah, and so the chat points out Veracity is available through the A in Mawa. It's often tough to find those sorts of eights, I feel like, with us, because it fits in exactly one position. I guess, well, when you're playing through one tile, obviously it will fit in exactly one position, but it just fits on the board. So I feel like if you're looking, you aren't necessarily looking for a bingo with an A in the fourth position.
I'd be shocked if she misses that bingo, though. Robin is an incredible player, and it may take some time to find it exactly, but I'd be surprised if she misses Veracity here. The chat points out Robin also has Equalizer. That'd be hilarious. It'd be a terrible play, but it'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is playing Jivey might be better anyways than playing Veracity. Veracity scores 73. Jivey keeping CR blank scores 36.
You don't do that with the lead. You play the bingo.
You think so?
Here she goes. Is she grabbing the blank slip? Yes, she is. Designate that blank before you put your letters down. Show them how it's done, Robin. There we go. Oh, no. She didn't circle it. She just grabbed the slip. Okay. So how do you feel about that,
taunting.
chat? Yeah, is that still taunting then? That to me is the big taunt, right? You grab the slip, you set it down, you don't circle the letter, you play your word, and then you circle your letter. Still rude?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder, is that allowed to grab the blank slip when you don't have the blank? And just...
I almost did that one time. I grabbed the blank slip and set it down. I was about to circle it, and then I saw a good non-bingo that retained the blank, but I felt like such a jerk for doing that I elected to play the bingo anyway because I didn't want to get in trouble with the rules. So I made a suboptimal play because I didn't want to accidentally taunt. Jackson's got to be upset to see Polarize get blocked with a blank bingo. Especially one that scores as well as Veracity did. That's about as most as you're going to score in that spot. He still finally does have Equalizer, but again, it's going to be far too little, far too late, as Robin's well over 300 points once we get our score widget updated. We'll see if Jackson goes with the equalizer, um, or I think he's just going to play equalize and
Yeah,
leave
I
the
like
hook
that a
there to
lot.
increase the volatility. Robin's pulled a second blank, and I think this one's just really going to start to snowball.
Yeah, I like the idea of equalize there. He might have played that anyways over polarize. I could be wrong, but given the score difference, PROL is a pretty good synergistic leave. I mean, granted, polarize does score 20 more points at least, so I could have seen him go either way. So in the meantime, though, Robin is sitting on the second blank, and I don't think she has any bingos, but she can play things like Viva, starting with the V in Veracity, and retaining pretty good tiles while still scoring 30 and extending her lead.
Yeah, this is Scrabble is such a game. I'm trying to think of words I can say on stream, but it's such a game where, like, you make one little mistake, not maybe not little mistake, but one mistake like declaw and letting it go, and then just bam, you get massacred after it. Jackson could be winning this game right now if that comes out. It's a completely different game. You never truly know. Is Robin gonna continue to draw a bunch of bingos if you do challenge that? You never know. But wow, just one mistake and your world ends after that. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, even though Jackson is down a lot, I wouldn't count him out here. I mean, first off, Jackson is a very creative player and tenacious player who finds ways to milk the extra 1-2% every turn to give himself the best chance to win. But after Robin plays something like Viva, and Jackson will play something like Equalizer and Fork, which will be a ton of points, that should be over 40. Uh, Jackson will, you know, be clawing his way back towards only being a bingo down. And yeah, Robin is likely to hit a bingo, but she could draw into bad enough tiles for a few turns with the blank where she can't do much. And that could be exactly what Jackson needs.
Robin could play Yogi here if she's really trying to score 500 points. If she really wants to keep things more open, keep a bingo prone leave. But I think Viva's more just a better idea with where she's at in this game.
Yeah, so I'm guessing Fork will come down pretty quickly if you're Jackson here. It's 49 points. Maybe Prof if you want it to be a bit better towards bingos, which is what he has set up for 45. Either of those two seem really strong, though.
Yeah, Jackson. A fork is kind of a just throw in the towel sort of play, but in this situation, I don't know that there's much else to do, especially from our end, knowing that Robin's already sitting on the second blank and something like Hogtied. This game is essentially over, and it's just a matter of how much spread is Robin going to be able to get out of this, and how close will Jackson be able to get back. Robin sitting on autid, according to the chat. That's a word I didn't know,
Oh,
but
nice.
neat. So I bet she finds that as well, and yeah, just stick a fork in this one. It's done. Pun intended. I apologize. I'll be here all day.
Yeah, I feel like we both, as we go later onto the stream, you let your guard down and make worse and worse puns. And I mean, you being the general view, like I do it. I feel like all Scrabble streamers
I will
start making
never
puns.
apologize for a bad pun ever. When I was a high school teacher back in another life, I would make some jokes in the middle of lecture, and my target was to get one laugh. Because if you get the whole class laughing, oh, you're like a stand-up comedian, not a teacher. You're not doing your job well. If nobody laughs, either it was truly that unfunny, or nobody is paying attention. So my sweet spot was one. My jokes can't be funny enough that, like, it's actually entertaining, but you got to get a chuckle from someone.
Yeah, I also feel like you then start making like clever and nuanced enough jokes where someone might actually start paying attention to you more. Right? They know they're the one person who's going to laugh, and so they might be on the edge of their seats hearing what the little nugget you throw to them in class will be.
I don't think 15-year-olds were thinking, hey, I want to go to Mr. Canic's class to see if he makes a dumb joke today. But you
Fair
could
enough.
be right. Everybody's different.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, so I think for a second there, Robin had outed in like spelled out on her rack, and then she switched to Tuft. Tuft, I don't think plays anywhere, so I wonder if that was just accidental when she was mixing and didn't notice it, or is actually unsure of opted.
It's also when you're ahead by 150 points, don't lose a turn. So maybe she saw audit and was like, "Ooh, I'm pretty sure I've seen this before." But Robin doesn't play very frequently, which is what makes it so incredible that she's so good too. This is actually her second tournament in 4 years. So you can tell she's thinking about it, but just no reason to risk it and try to lose a turn in this situation right now. I totally understand why she may not want to, or maybe she sees it but is looking for better bingos.
Yeah, I mean it's. I know she was, I think, like studying and getting a degree during a lot of that time she's taken off. So she's definitely had other priorities. And yeah, she plays Yogg, which I think is an excellent play. If you're not going to play Outed, it might even be better than the bingo itself, anyways.
It could be. Yeah, 33 points is a whole lot of points, and holding DET blank. Yeah, why not? Maybe you get lucky. Maybe Jackson goes crazy and tries to open up a triple line, and you pulverize that spot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Jackson here, you might just play FOU off the F in fork and try to set up your L. And yeah, those are the sorts of things that Robin could potentially take advantage of, depending on what she drew.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, this game, it's pretty much out of Jackson's hands at this point. Even though there's a lot of good stuff in the bag from his perspective, I think he knows down 150. It's, I mean, from his perspective, he's probably counting how many there are in the bag, or just doing a rough estimate there. From his perspective, I think there are 15 in the bag, and so if he wants to bingo twice, that requires him to play off only very few tiles this turn, draw into a bingo next turn, and hope that Robin hasn't played enough tiles that there will still be 7 left one turn later. It's a lot of ifs, if you noticed.
That is a lot of ifs. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, especially in a tournament that is 31 games, this might just be me being lazy, but honestly, if I'm in this situation, I am just trying to preserve my brain at this point. Yeah, I'd like to cut the spread, and I don't want to do anything terrible. If I draw bingo racks, I'm definitely going to look, but this is such a long tournament, and I don't have the mental stamina to play 31 games and give 100% to every turn, so sometimes I will just kind of make some plays and see what happens.
Yeah, so he opts to play FOU, which seems pretty standard there. So that will allow Robin to get a nice play herself, merited.
So welcome to board one, Robin. Wow, you show up here and you're dropping just all of the points. Probably going to end up at 500 plus after this.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Jackson now is just going to play equalizers, just, to continue extending equal as much as possible.
If we've got a 9 on the board, why not just make it a 10? Why not go for unequalizers just to see?
Yeah. I wonder, are there any? Is non-equalizer a word?
Oh my goodness! Please be good. How did Robin draw another incredible rack? That's wow. Man, she must have listened to the stream yesterday and taken my advice.
Yeah, Robin, you should be a Scrabble coach, Matt. And Solates would play with mutters, or if she wants to try declars.
Let's do it, declars. Come on.
So, Yeah, it would be fun if Jackson plays equalizers and Saul, Saul, and then plays non-equalizers in the end game. I don't even know if that's valid, but I mean, I would be shocked if anyone knew if that was valid. But
Ah, great
instead, he
play,
goes for
Jackson.
Pulau, which
Great
is a
play.
great play as well. Yeah.
And we'll see where Robin plays Solates. Does she go with the declars or does she play mutters? That'd be a big flex if you don't hook your own bingo. That's your way of saying, hey, I didn't think that was a word and you let it go. Solate's certainly going to come down for her. But yeah, Solates and mutters is going to be definitely a flex.
Yeah, I mean, how many more points is Solates with Declars? Because there are a lot of hefty tiles in Declars.
Yeah, it's probably 8 or 10 more. I
It's
don't want
it's
to count.
six more, yeah, six more. So if she thinks it's good, it's coming down. I think with Declars, right? Well, she's mixing them for a second there, and then has settled on. It looks like mutters and
Oh,
Solates. So,
I'd love to hear that post game chat about Declar, what Robin says about it. Because I could see her saying, "Oh, I was 80% sure it was good, but didn't want to risk it." I could also absolutely see her saying, "Oh yeah, not a chance."
yeah. I mean, the other thing is that Solates with Declars does give some more 8 lanes and actually doesn't close down some of the 8 lanes she closed down there. So it could have been she just saw possibilities that Jackson could have gotten bingos through letters if she made the other Solates that created the phony Declars.
Yeah, it could just be a defensive reasoning thing, or it could be a word knowledge thing. That's why I'd love to hear that post game banter because you know they're going to discuss it. We can watch Jackson's face if we don't cut away too fast as he looks up Declar and shakes his head in disdain.
Yeah, but I mean, once Declar comes down, Jackson, I think, basically played as well as he could. I mean, yeah, you might want to not go for the equalizer quite as many times as he did, but he still scored a bunch with equalizer, and that adds up a bunch of points. I think Robin just picked the right stuff after Declar, and good on her for uh, forcing Jackson to make the correct move, and he didn't make the correct move by challenging, or by not challenging.
So that's going to be it for this game. Is Robin going to hit 500? I'm not sure if our
Oh,
score widget is
sorry.
fully
Yeah,
updated or
sorry.
not.
I forgot to update it after so late, so wanted to do that.
We're trying to figure out the matchup we're going to see in round 11. We'll keep you all posted, but there is one more game before lunch. So if you're sticking with us, don't go anywhere. Should be a pretty quick turnaround between this game and the next game. And then we'll hit our lunch break here at day 2 of the 2022 Scrabble Players Championship, brought to you by Scrabble Go and the North American Scrabble Players Association.
Yeah, so we see nuns to end the game, and we will get back to you in a few. Stay tuned.